It's breaking news just 2 days after we learned of the Department of Energy's admittedly low confidence assessment that the COVID pandemic began with a lab leak in Wuhan, China. Tonight on Fox, FBI Director Christopher Wray publicly acknowledged the FBI believes it too, but with what sounds like higher confidence.
The FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan. Let me step back for a second. The FBI has folks, agents, professionals, analysts, virologists, microbiologists, et cetera, who focus specifically on the dangers of biological threats, which include things like novel viruses like COVID, and the concerns that in the wrong hands, some bad guys, a hostile nation state, a terrorist, a criminal, the threats that those could pose. So here you're talking about a potential leak from a Chinese government-controlled lab that killed millions of Americans, and that's precisely what that capability was designed for.
I think there's no doubt that NIH was funding gain-of-function research.
Is it likely that American tax dollars funded the gain-of-function research that created this virus?
I think it did, not only from NIH, but from the State Department, USAID, and from DOD.
I'm out of time. Thank you very much.
Our money to a lab in China that wasn't up to code, that was doing gain-of-function research, and that's where this thing came from. That's what they didn't want us to know. You agree with that, Mr. Ratcliffe?
I do agree with that.
Dr. Tabak, did NIH fund gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology through EcoHealth?
It depends on your definition of gain-of-function research. If you're speaking about the generic term, yes, we did.
The fact that the viruses that were studied, that the NIH gave them a grant to study, don't pull back on the fact that no matter what you did with those viruses, they were phylogenetically so different, they could not possibly be the precursor of SARS-CoV-2.
And I agree with that. I guess my only point is that you don't know all the viruses they were working with.
That none of us can know everything that's going on in China or in Wuhan or what have you.
The EcoHealth's Year 5 progress report, they facilitated an experiment in Wuhan that had 7 mice infected with Wuhan Institute of Virology 1 as the backbone. 5 survived. Then 8 mice were infected with a chimera of WIV1 and the spike from another virus, and 2 survived. In EcoHealth's own words, these results suggest that the pathogenicity of that full-length chimera is higher than others. Right. You were asked today, and it was read back to you a little bit, but on May 16th, just a few weeks ago, Ms. Lesko asked Dr. Tabak, did NIH fund gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology through EcoHealth? And Dr. Tabak answered, if you're speaking about the generic term, yes, we did.
Right.
On May 11th, you were asked a similar question, and you answered the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. I'm going to ask it, and you can answer it how you want to answer it. According to the broad definition of gain-of-function research and the definition Dr. Tabak was testifying pursuant to, did NIAID fund gain-of-function research via EcoHealth in Wuhan?
The broad definition of gain of function, in my mind, is not applicable here and does nothing but confuse the situation. And that is the reason why, after 3 years of deliberation by the bodies, including the NSABB, as well as the national academies, it was decided to make an operative and regulatory definition. If you hearken back to the original broad definition, it does nothing but confuse people. And that's why every time I have mentioned gain of function at the Senate hearing with Senator Paul and the TI and today, the definition that I use is not my personal definition. It's a codified regulatory and operative definition made by a body that has nothing to do with me.